So, everyone's favorite language, JavaScript. It's a short talk, I guess maybe about 5 minutes, about the 3 ways to check whether things are equal in JavaScript. Everyone has probably used loose equality, which is the one in the middle here, the double equals. In JavaScript, it behaves differently than in most other languages because it's actually loose equality. It means that, well, before going into that, so 3 types of equality: strict equality, which is using the triple equals; loose equality, using the double equals; and a third one, using the Object.is function, which is sort of even more strict than strict equality. So strict equality using the triple equals, basically the concept is that there is no conversion happening when you're using the triple equals, which is different from loose equality. In loose equality, when you compare 2 objects using loose equality, if they're of different types, they are first converted to the same type, and then strict equality is used. So if the values have different types, the values are considered unequal. If the values have the same type and are not numbers, then they're considered equals if they have the same value. There's an exception for numbers. For numbers, you can have values like a positive 0 and a negative 0. So strict equality says that they are not the same, which is useful in some situations.
So would that be the only way to catch that then?
To catch the difference between a positive 0 and a negative 0?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much the only way. So loose equality basically does if the types of the variables you're comparing are different, it first does a conversion to convert them to the same type, and then basically uses strict equality for the comparison. So it's symmetric, meaning that A equals B is always the same as B equals A. So here's an interesting question. Does anyone know what the result of this would be? True. It's actually false, because both of these, on a comparison like this, are converted to numbers, and true is converted to a 1. So, and 5 doesn't equal 1. So, there is a table. I don't know if everyone can see that. Basically, when you're comparing a Boolean to a number, the Boolean is first converted to a number, and then the strict comparison is done. So you guys can get the slides and take a look at this chart. But yeah, basically, there are some rules as to what is converted in a loose equality comparison. And really, yeah, so the comment there is that you really shouldn't be using loose equality except in a limited number of cases. You should pretty much always be using strict equality. An Object.is is the same as strict equality, except in 2 cases. In comparing a negative 0 and a positive 0, Object.is gives a false. Oh, actually, so I was wrong when I said before that strict equality tells you that a negative 0 and a positive 0 are different. It's actually the other way around. So Object.is tells you that they're different. Strict equality tells you that they're the same. So that's why this is a little bit more strict. And for nan, not a number, if you do a nan equals nan, the result is false. So because not a number is not a specific value, it's not a specific number, comparing not a number to not a number gives you a false because they're not necessarily the same. So Object.is tells you that they are the same. Typically not really used anywhere.
Is 0 and -0 used anywhere?
In some math calculations, yeah.
Seems pretty useless.
I don't think I've actually used it, but and as a bonus to this talk, because it's kind of short, the truthy and falsy values in JavaScript, which are kind of related to equality, but this is basically used in conditional blocks if, while, for, whenever there is an expression that's being checked whether it's true or false. And that's a little bit different from using the equality comparisons. But basically, in JavaScript, all values are truthy. For example, even though 5 triple equals true is false, if you use 5 in an if block, saying if 5, it still acts as true. It's still a truthy value. So basically, all values in JavaScript are truthy, except these few falsy values, which are 0, an empty string, null, undefined, not a number, and for Internet Explorer, document all also is false despite being a complete object with a good amount of stuff in it. Object all is lists the functionality that the browser supports, basically. But in JavaScript, if you check whether document.all is truthy or falsy, it's falsy. So, this is basically it. Any questions?
So are there any rules to follow? I guess so you're saying we should always use strict?
Yeah, pretty much, unless you have a good reason, strict equality should always be used.
Do you think any good use cases for loose?
I typically, well, so truthy values are used more often, and they're kind of a loose equality thing because they get converted when you use them in a condition statement. So it's perfectly normal to, like in an if block, check if something has a positive value or something. You know, like if 5, then perform certain actions. But as far as using loose equality with the double equals, I don't think I actually ever used it. So, because you can't always predict what the outcome is going to be unless you know that you're comparing values of the same type. And if you're comparing values of the same type, there is no sense in using loose equality.
Yeah, makes sense.
I've seen, it's kind of related, but I've seen some examples of like variable assignment where you use an OR. How does, I guess how does JavaScript know to assign the variable if like the first value is not true and then it assigns it the value of the second value instead of a Boolean?
Right, right. So the way those assignments work with OR is with a statement that contains ORs like that with an assignment,
Yeah.
it basically always takes the first truthy value. So if you have a number of expressions combined using an OR, the first one that evaluates to true is assigned to the variable. With an AND, it's actually the last one. So if you're assigning a number of, if if you're assigning an expression with a number of n's in it, the last one that is true is assigned to the variable.
I never did with ants. It's cool.
I'm sorry?
I never did ants.
I
That's
think
Yeah.
ants are very useful.
I've seen them used.
Really.
Yeah.
That's too hacky, gone too far.
But the value that's actually being assigned, it's not true or false, it's
Yeah.
actually the value of that object.
Can you go back to the chart?
Sure.
Then just wanna check this. Could you explain more about this chart, please?
Sure, I mean, the chart is basically operand A is on this side, operand B is on this side. So if you're, for example, checking for equality a string and a number, the string being A, the string is first converted to a number and then compared to B, B isn't converted to anything. If you're comparing an object to a good number of types, the object is converted to a primitive, whatever that would be in that case, and then compared to the other type. Any other questions? Cool.